not to just wring their hands, but to stand up and do something about it. And President Mahama, that is what you are doing. President Mahama, that is what you are doing. I will also want to thank President Kagame, who has been spearheading African health, financing, architecture, and infrastructure.
We have met here today not because Africa is at a crossroads, but because Africa has already made its choice, the choice to lead, the choice to be self-reliant, the choice to build health sovereignty on African terms. But choices are meaningless without action. And the action we need...
Sovereignty. And it is with distinct pleasure now that we welcome a man who needs no introduction. I'd like to invite us to rise and welcome the former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Olusegun Obasanjo, to bring us his fatherly remarks on this auspicious day for health sovereignty on the African continent. Please keep clapping as we welcome our father. Thank you, sir.
Please be seated. President Mahama, thank you very much for laying this on. My dear sister, President Johnson Sirleaf, thank you for making it here and giving encouragement to our brother. President Amina, thank you also for being here. Tedros, I won't say president, but you never know. Thank you for being here. When we have a problem, and the world health situation today is problematic, I believe it is the responsibility of leaders not to just wring their hands, but to stand up and do something about it. And President Mahama, that is what you are doing. President Mahama, that is what you are doing. I will also want to thank President Kagame, who has been spearheading African health, financing, architecture, and infrastructure. I want to thank Prime Minister Gordon Brown for giving support and going along with us on this journey. It's not going to be an easy journey, but it's a journey, if I may say, that has precedent. We have been in very critical health situation in the past. We had Ebola. we had HIV/AIDS pandemic. We had COVID-19 pandemic. But we rode out of all this. And the way we handled HIV/AIDS in particular should give us something to cheer about, something to give us hope, and something that can lead us to where we need to go in the fractured global health situation that we are in now. I don't believe that I need to belabor the situation that we are in, but I believe what we need is solution. How do we move from the present to the future, immediate future, of hope, of confidence, and of health security for all? Let me start at the family level, family and community level. I believe that we need to do more with traditional medicine. I was in a meeting not too long ago, about, 15 years ago. And the meeting was about afforestation. And when I got there, the people I started seeing were people in pharmaceutical. So I thought I was in the wrong place. When I went to them, I said, look, we are here for afforestation. Why are you here? And they said they were in for afforestation too. And they told me and said, 80% of the drugs we buy in the pharmacies have their origin in herbs. And what is happening is that these trees are being cut, they are being destroyed, and they have not extracted enough from the herbs. I learned a lesson from there. So the herbs that we have in our villages and rural areas are useful. And even the pharmaceuticals of the world have 80% of what they sell to us having their origin from herbs. At the family and community level, we can use more herbs than we are using traditional medicine. At the national level, I believe that there's virtually no country in Africa today that doesn't have health insurance in one form or the other. We can expand and enhance health insurance. And 25% of our health insurance fund can be used to manage our health architecture and go into health infrastructure. At the continental level, just as we have now risen to have a peace fund, and I tell you what that peace fund has started to do. When I was appointed Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa, and I was handling the situation in Ethiopia. AU was waiting for European money before I could start, or American money. Today, 5 of us have been appointed as facilitator for DRC and Rwanda. Immediately, AU made available $1 million out of Peace Fund. That is progress. I believe we can have a health fund for Africa. And this health fund can be managed by Africa Development Bank. And the source, to start with, something like $100 for flying into Africa or flying out of Africa, but not for traveling within Africa. And then, of course, we can see what else we can do to enhance that fund. But we need health fund for Africa. Global, I believe at the global level, we should have health security for all. Health security for all. Here in this country, some time ago, the slogan was Ghana Beyond Aid. I believe the slogan for us should be now Africa Health Without Aid. But with global partnership, solidarity, cooperation, and collaboration, and of course, togetherness. Because pandemic, as we have seen, knows no geographical boundary, knows no borders. We have to work separately and together for security for all, health security for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency Olusegun Obasanjo. Let's put our hands together one more time for His Excellency. Thank you so much. From Ghana Without Aid.
High-level reflections on the conversations we have been having throughout the day on Africa health sovereignty. Your Excellency.
Let's receive Her Excellency Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Please keep clapping.
Thank you. Please sit down. President Obasanjo, President Amina, Dr. Tedros, allow me to begin by expressing my sincere appreciation to His Excellency, President Mahama, for convening this extraordinary gathering. Mr. President, your leadership has been steadfast. From Liberia's darkest hours during the Ebola outbreak, when you served then as the current chair of the African Union Authority. Today, you're introducing a new era of health sovereignty, Africa health sovereignty. I'm so pleased to be a part of this historic event that you spearhead. President Obasanjo, it's always good to see you. In every initiative where you bring your knowledge, your passion, your experience, and I know that in this one, you will always be there. President Amina, I'm thankful that you are lending your expertise and experience to this effort. And to you, Dr. Tedros, you have stood at the very eye of the storm, leading with clarity and courage, and championing transformative reforms in global health as the WHO Director General. Ladies and gentlemen, today is more than a meeting. It is a clear signal that Africa will no longer stand at the margins of global health leadership. This is our moment to lead, to shape, and to own our future. The challenges driven by African resources, African expertise, and African determination. We have met here today not because Africa is at a crossroads, but because Africa has already made its choice, the choice to lead, the choice to be self-reliant, the choice to build health sovereignty on African terms. But choices are meaningless without action. And the action we need starts with 3 priorities, as I gather from the discussions and the rich things that have been said today. First, we must, for the digital blind spent in our health systems, we must fix it. Today, fewer than 30% of the African health systems are digitized. This is not just a gap, it is a vulnerability. Without digital sovereignty and infrastructure, Africa will remain dependent and reactive. Sovereignty demands that we control our own health systems, our own health data. Digital health is no longer a luxury. It is a necessity. We must invest in training, connectivity, and a digital backbone that will enable Africa to anticipate and defeat outbreaks before they become disasters. As one speaker rightly emphasized during our discussions, digitization, our health system, is no longer optional. Investing in digital health infrastructure is also an investment in job creation Africa's youth, who make up the majority of our growing continent population. When we build digital systems, we are not only building technology, we are building opportunities for young Africans to innovate, to lead, and to drive this transformation. Second, support for the pandemic fund is critical, but it must work for Africa. The pandemic fund has provided external resources for Africa's needs. They are vast and growing. I urge all African countries to continue seeking its support, but also to demand transparency, equity, and partnership in how these resources are allocated. Africa must not be a passive recipient of global health funds. We must be architects of how these resources are designed and delivered.